In this one, we will take a look at DOM event listeners that can be integrated in a component, and then we'll take a look at special non-DOM attributes like key, ref, and dangerously set in our HTML. So let's get started with DOM event listeners in a component. So I've created a simple HTML page and I have included my React.js library, JSX transformer script, and the DOM listener.js. Over here I have the div container which will be showing the output. So all I'm doing over here is creating a class and naming it as window, and then rendering that class inside the div container div that we have. Now over here, the first thing that we are doing is setting the window width state by making use of get initial state, and we are accessing the window object of browser. So window.innerWidth will give me the width of the page basically, and that is what we are assigning to window width. And once that is assigned, inside the render function we are displaying the window width of the window. So if I run this one, this will be the output. Current window width 1920 pixels. This is coming from the window width state variable. Now here we have component did mount and component will unmount, two states, and inside these what we are trying to do is, as soon as we resize the window, this function gets called, that is handle resize. And what this function is doing, it's setting the window width state variable to the current inner width of the window object. So as soon as the component did mount and component will mount state is reached and you resize the window, here you can see that the resize event that we are associating, and at this we are removing. So when the component is mounted, we are adding the resize event, and when this component is unmounted, then we are removing this event handler. So on resize, this function gets called and we set the new window width, and that gets displayed over here. So if I just try to resize this browser, you can see that the current window width changes to 755, and if I keep on doing that, it keeps on decreasing. Similarly, if I increase it, it keeps on increasing here, and if I maximize it, you'll see it back to 1920. So this example that we just now saw shows us the events that are not provided by React. So we made use of the resize event actually, which is not provided by React.js. So this one is basically good for integrations with other libraries such as jQuery. Now component did mount, this one gets called after the component is mounted and has a DOM representation. So this is often a place where you would attach generic DOM events, and you can notice that the event callback is bound to the React component and not the original element. So here is the original element and this is the React component. Now React automatically binds methods to the current component instance for you through a process of auto binding. Auto binding is something when you create a callback, you usually need to explicitly bind a method to its instance such that the value of the this variable is correct. Now with React, every method is automatically bound to its component instance. Now React caches the bound method such that it's extremely CPU and memory efficient. Now let's discuss special non-DOM attributes like key. Now this one is optional but unique identifier. Whenever your component shuffles around during render, it might be destroyed and recreated due to the diff algorithm. Assigning it a key that persists makes sure the component stays. Then we have already discussed the ref attribute. Using this ref, we can identify a particular node and we can call functions on that node. We saw an example where we were setting focus to the text box. Dangerously set in our HTML is the one which we will be covering up later in this module, and this basically provides the ability to insert raw HTML, and it's mainly for cooperating with DOM string manipulation libraries. So That was all about special non-DOM attributes and DOM event listeners in React.js.